tonight. Patricia Martellotti is live in Arroyo Grande, where one of the arrests was made. But we'll begin with Dave Valley, live at Cal Poly, where the sheriff's office held a news conference this afternoon.
It's a landmark day in this very high-profile case, one that dates back nearly 25 years. Now, in that time, it has gained not only a lot of attention here locally, but also now nationally and internationally as well. The disappearance of Kristin Smart. It all started right here at Cal Poly back in May 1996. And that's why San Luis Obispo County Sheriff Ian Parkinson chose this location right here where I'm standing on the Cal Poly campus to hold a press conference earlier this afternoon where he announced the arrest of the man long associated with this case and the man listed as the prime suspect.
I'm here this afternoon to announce the arrest of Paul Flores.
San Luis Obispo County Sheriff Ian Parkinson makes a bombshell announcement. Paul Flores is behind bars for the murder of Kristin Smart.
Paul was arrested for charge of murder with zero bail, meaning he is unable to bail, and Ruben Flores was arrested as an accessory to murder with a bail of $250,000.
Both men arrested at the same time Tuesday morning. Paul Flores at his LA County home in San Pedro, Ruben Flores in Arroyo Grande.
It's my hope that we're able to take the first step toward justice for the Smart family. Peace for the community, some justice out there for all of us, and most especially for Kristin.
The sheriff says the department, through a court order, has been monitoring the cell phone and text messages of Paul Flores, and adds search warrants served over the past 14 months led to the discovery of evidence related to the case.
Forensic physical evidence was located, and yes, we believe it's linked to Kristin. And yes, we did find physical evidence at least 2 homes.
The search warrants are sealed, meaning little information is being released.
I cannot discuss what evidence was found, and probably more importantly is that we have a due process right now.
What the investigation hasn't found are the remains of the missing Cal Poly student.
We have not recovered Kristin. We will continue to focus on finding her remains regardless of any court action.
Even without that key piece of the case, Parkinson says he believes there is enough evidence to prove Paul Flores killed Kristin Smart beyond a reasonable doubt.
I believe it can be done, and I think that the district attorney can be successful because I think there's enough evidence to support it.
And the case now has been turned over to the district attorney's office for review. We're told that prosecutors right now with the county are evaluating the case. They'll provide us and the public with any information as it does become available. Parkinson says that he expects Paul Flores to be arraigned this Thursday in San Luis Obispo County Superior Court. Should Ruben Flores remain in custody, again, he does have a bail set for $250,000. Should he remain in custody, he expects the sheriff that he also would be arraigned that day as well. And we do also want to mention that Susan Flores, the mother of Paul Flores, was not involved in any of the arrests today, nor are there any indications that she will be. That's the latest from here, reporting live in San Luis Obispo. I'm News Channel.
Channel 12 reporter Patricia Martellotti, who joins us live at the Arroyo Grande home of Paul Flores' father, Ruben. He was arrested there this morning. And Patricia, you spoke with people coming to the home to see what was happening.
Well, people have been coming and going all day, and as the investigation continues, almost everyone I spoke with was relieved to hear about the arrests.
Oh, I'm extremely relieved. I feel bad for Kristin Smart's family that have lived on the edge for 25 years.
People from all over the Central Coast gathered near Ruben Flores' home Tuesday, watching as detectives investigated the area for the second time in just under a month. Some have been following the Kristin Smart case since she first disappeared in 1996.
Like, there's history to be made, so we kind of wanted to come out here because we've been growing up hearing about all of this. So we're like, we have to see it for ourselves. And even if there's nothing to see, I mean, it's just cool to see that there is some developments.
People who showed up throughout the morning and afternoon shared their theories on what might have happened more than 2 decades ago.
And my thoughts and feelings are that all of the kid's friends knew that he was the type that would have killed the girl.
Some decided to visit the house for the first time.
I had so many people messaging me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is, and I've never been up here, so Janelle was like, hey, we're gonna take a drive, you wanna go with? And I was like, sure, and just see what was going on, and it's crazy. It's about time.
Because we all kind of, we all feel like we know who it is, and we kind of just want to see it be taken into action, and it finally is.
I hope that they find what they need to convict and put this to bed.
Most residents who came by say they are pleased to see the case finally moving forward. For now, live in Arroyo Grande, Patricia Martellotti, News.
got our last phone call from Kristin.
Little did Denise Smart know that message would be the last time she ever heard her daughter's voice.
So it was 3 days later that we got an SOS call from Cal Poly Police Department. Do we know where our daughter is?
It was Memorial Day weekend, 1996. Kristin Smart was a 19-year-old freshman at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, a determined teen from Stockton with her whole life ahead of her.
She was a dreamer, but she had expectations. She was going to be a millionaire. She was going to be an architect. She was going to be Joan London. She was going to travel the world. She had a very adventurous spirit.
But that life was cut short when Kristin went missing from campus. Her friends said they dropped her off at a fraternity party on Friday night.
The story is that she had been drinking and she was sitting on outside on the grass, and Paul offered to walk her home.
Kristin would never make it back to her dorm room that night. The last person to see her alive, a student named Paul Flores.
Well, Paul Flores is, without question, the perpetrator to this crime.
2 days later, Flores turned himself into police for driving under the influence, sporting a black eye in his mugshot. His story about how he got that black eye would change several times over the next couple months.
Do you believe Paul Flores killed Kristin?
I believe he took her life. She did not walk away and go kill herself. She did not walk away and lose her life. She did not walk away and dig herself a grave. She was kidnapped.
22 years later, Flores is still the only suspect in Kristin's disappearance, but detectives have never found enough evidence to make an arrest. In fact, the only time they brought him in for a deposition, this was his response to every question.
On the advice of my attorney, I refuse to answer that question based on the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Refusing to help investigators figure out what happened to Kristin Smart that Memorial Day weekend.
It's probably the most painful thing to know that someone is walking on the earth and harboring that information, and I mean, callous and mean and insensitive are just not even strong enough words.
In 2002, Kristin's family declared her dead, but detectives have never let her case go cold. The San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Office says they've looked into every tip they've gotten for the past 2 decades.
Until every stone is unturned, there's more to do.
Still actively looking for a clue to solve one of the biggest mysteries in California history and channeling Kristin's determination every step of the way.
Would she have given up? No.
Her family says they've never lost hope they will one day be able to bring their daughter back home to Stockton again.
Whether it's DNA or it's someone who at last has a conscience and comes forward and tells the real story and helps us solve this.
He had a black eye. He had scratches.
Because I didn't think it would matter.
On June 19th, investigators bring Flores in for further questioning and confront him about his injuries.
How do we know that everything that you've told us so far isn't really the truth? How do we know now that you lied for us?
Well, that wasn't important though.
Sure it is. That's important.
Flores now tells investigators that he sustained the injuries when he hit his eye on his steering wheel while installing a car stereo. One aspect of Flores' story that doesn't change is the account of his last moments with Kristin.
I walked with her to where the driveway was, and I went up to my dorm because the walkway goes that way towards my dorm, and then she started walking up that way.
Investigators have their doubts. They offer Flores a lie detector test, but he refuses. Still, it's not enough for investigators to charge Flores with any crime.
Of the Sheriff's Search Posse combing remote parts of the Cal Poly campus today, hoping to find some sign of the missing freshman. Kristin Smart, also known as Roxy, said goodbye to some friends last Saturday morning on this pathway close to her dorm. She hasn't been seen since.
We saw her on Friday night before she disappeared. She was standing on the corner, and that's really strange that we happened to see her, and people are just wondering what happened to her.
Police say foul play is a possibility. They searched Roxy's dorm room and found her wallet, her identification, and medication for attention deficit disorder. On her calendar, a reminder to turn in extra credit homework. But there's also the possibility that she just ran away. Roxy's mother says she was frustrated by some hard classes, and there have been a number of reported sightings of her along the coast.
Dad was here this morning, picked up a whole gang of flyers, and is stopping at every place north of here along Highway 101 that you would stop to get a soda, get something to eat.
Authorities say their search of the campus is just about complete, but they are using these flyers as they expand their search off campus. In the meantime, until the mystery is solved, Roxy's classmates say they will not take their safety for granted.
I don't know, it really makes me cautious about walking around at night, and just, I really can't believe it. It doesn't seem real.
I used to tell a friend just to walk back to her dorm alone,
nothing's going to happen. But now it's like, I won't let her anymore.
Kelly Brothers, Channel 3 reports.
Was arrested this morning at his San Pedro home, while his father, Ruben Flores, has been arrested as an accessory. Smart went missing nearly 25 years ago. The San Luis Obispo County Sheriff is planning to hold a news conference this afternoon to reveal
Brown, formerly known as Mary Lassiter, and she was the one who found the earring, which we believe may have belonged to Kristin Smart, and I'm gonna have her tell the whole story in her own words from beginning to end, as best as she can remember. And plus she believes she has documents like the lease she signed with the Flores family and other things. We're going to try to find those, and I'm going to come back for a return session. So if you would, Mary, just take it from the top. Tell me about the first time you met the Flores. Well, first of all, there's some confusion that you were related to the Flores family, so go ahead and straighten all that out, because that's not true.
Right. My mother and stepfather lived like 6 houses down on Branch, and my mother's name is Sharon Flores, and my stepfather's name is Richard Flores. So same initials, same last names, so I can see how people can confuse that I was related to all of it, you know?
But you weren't related.
But no, I've never met them before in my life, and
how did you hear about this place being for lease?
I believe it was in the newspapers, because back then it was still a newspaper, you know? So we were looking for a place, and it was perfect because, again, it was like 5 houses down from my mom, and she watched Derek, and we applied for it. And
who's Derek?
My son.
Okay.
Yeah. And we applied for it, and we went over to the house, and she showed us everything, and we ended up getting it.
Can you tell me approximately when that was? We will try to find the paperwork later, but
I want to say it had to be like July 1st, or in that. It was in the summer, because July,
would you
August,
say it was
September, October, November.
Before or after the 4th of July?
It was after. Or, yeah, that's a good thing to think about, like what we're in there. When is the Strawberry Festival? Because it was after the Strawberry Festival.
Yeah, that varies.
The Royal Grande.
Yeah, and I'm not sure when it was in those days.
Isn't that in Memorial? No, it's always been Memorial. So it had to be in either June or July that we moved in.
Okay, of 1996.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And was that lease for 1 year or 6 months?
6 months. After 6 months, we'll see how everything's going and do another one or whatsoever. And so everything was going. We moved in, but it was like, I want to say we agreed to everything in the middle of June and moved in July 1st because they were still fixing the house, the yard, and the backyard up, and that's what the cementing was and all that.
So did they have a patio in those days when you moved in?
No, it was all freshly done after. That's why they were waiting for us, told us that we had to wait because they were getting it repaved.
So they completed the patio before you moved in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, we don't know anything. That she didn't disclose anything to us about what was going on. And
so you had no idea that
no clue.
The Flores were a potential,
yeah,
you know, involved in the Kristin disappearance.
No clue at all. The way we found out was we started receiving hate mail.
From who?
Just random people, you know, like thought that we were involved or we were related, and they were like, there was mean ones, hateful ones. There was
so
nice.
Since your mother was a Flores, they thought you were related
to Susan.
To
yeah,
Ruben
they must
have
thought that I was his sister or something because, you know, Susan Flores, S. Flores, and
so you were receiving hate mail
at that address. Yeah, at her.
Amazing.
And that's when me and my ex-husband were like, "What are they talking about?" You know, I don't even have no clue of what they're talking about, and so. We brought it up to the Flores. I think that's what Joe did. And
what did they say?
Oh, that's.
You said I got this hate
yeah.
mail. Can you tell me what's going on?
Yeah, they never told us. we found out from other people. And, gosh, what happened? I know. And then, yeah, they never told us. I wanted to say, how did we find out? I think we found out because a sheriff started coming over. Nobody was in uniform. None of these people that came over were in uniform. They were dressed nice, you know. But, so I know they weren't like police officers. They had to be like a detective or something.
What's the first time a police detective, what you think was a police detective, came over?
Like, probably I'd say 3 weeks after we were living there.
Late summer?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did they want?
They wanted to, somebody must have said something to somebody, but they wanted to talk to us about, you know, if we, actually the first person they talked to was Joe. I was at work, and they harassed him and said that if he wasn't going to tell the truth, then his part in anything and stuff like that.
Wait a minute, the police was harassing your husband,
Oh God,
Joe?
they threatened him to put him in jail.
For what?
For not helping them with the case. Like, they definitely thought that he knew something, and we were just lying. And they were gonna ruin everything, you know, our lives because of it. And we're like, we don't know anything. We never even knew these people before we moved in.
So the police are threatening you, you're getting hate mail, and then Ruben's coming over drunk all the time.
Ruben, that was an exciting one, yeah. Well, well, Susan, she ended up being a real bitch. You know, especially after she found out we're getting this hate mail, because she knew we were finding out things. And the way I am, if I think something's going on or feel something's going on, and then I think somebody told us what it was about in a letter or something, and that's how we found out. And so I started researching it, you know, so what was going on, and found out. And she started getting mad because I was getting closer and closer to knowing, you know, and finding out things. And then things weird started happening. Like,
give us some examples.
Yeah, like there was a metal trash can left back in the day, the old metal aluminum trash cans with the lids.
Galvanized.
Yeah, the old school ones, like the 1970s and 80s. There was that trash can when we moved in the backyard, and you'd go up the driveway, and you'd go up, and then there was like a gate that closed, but you could open the gate and go up more, and then there was like a shed or some type of different.
Yeah, there wasn't a garage in those days.
No, there was no garage.
It was just a shed.
Right, and I remember the trash can was like on the right side, like kitty corner right there. And I remember always seeing it, and then Ruben just coming over a lot, bearing gifts also. He knew my husband was a Raider fan, a diehard Raider fan, so he would always bring over like a set of towels for the bathrooms, like that all matched, that were Raiders. I still have, like, I think the washcloth. I'm a Raider fan too, but yeah, and we were like, God, these are really nice people. But he was so adamant about that trash can, and at the time it didn't dawn on me. But then,
what did he want with the trash can?
He said, I need to get that trash can, and we had the lock to the gate, so you know he couldn't go back there. And I don't think he was allowed there by Susan either. So whenever he came around, she wasn't around. Whenever she was around, he wasn't around. But yet they were both renting it to us.
And they were getting belligerent about the trash can.
Yeah, not Susan. It was Ruben. He would come over drunk sometimes, and I never dealt with it. You know, Joe did, and Joe was the one that was always threatened. I never was threatened by a detective. They're like, you know, they always threatened that they're going to put him in jail. Like, they told him, like, they'll find something, you know. And he's like, how can you even do that when I haven't done nothing, you know?
They were, let me pause for a minute here. The police or the sheriff's department were threatening your husband.
Yes.
Because they thought that you guys may be involved.
Right, exactly.
In Kristin's disappearance. And the only involvement you had was you happened to lease
the wrong
property.
place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how often were you visited by police
Oh, God.
or
we
sheriff's
lived there, I think,
detective?
for, I want to say 3 to 4 months. And, oh gosh, it was like maybe twice a week at the least, you know, them trying to get us to say things that we didn't know. Like, what do you call it when they do that? They like, don't put words in my mouth, you know what I mean? Like, cause that's not what I'm saying, you know? And then they had a claw-like bathtub. One night I was giving my son the bath, and they had those old-fashioned claw-like bathtubs.
You're talking about the feet of the
Yes.
bathtub look like claws?
Yeah, and it was the old school, bathtubs. And so I was gonna give my son a bath, and I put him in the bath and stuff, and I never leave the room when they're in water.
Yeah.
So I'm in there, talking to him, playing and stuff, and I'm just looking, and I was like, there was like these little, I don't know how, like specks, and it wasn't like a lot on one spot, you know what I mean? But there was little specks, and you can see them on the shower curtain and above the, on the upper wall. And I was like, what is that,
And what color were they?
They were like, almost like a maroon red.
Yeah, like a brownish or
Like a maroon, like a
like
dark,
a maroon. Okay.
yeah.